Hello and welcome. Having overrun to a second additional day, delegates at the COP27 Climate Summit finally reached agreement in the early hours of this morning. The deal should see developing nations who suffer the most from the effects of climate change given financial help from the industrialised developed world. It's to help mitigate the loss and damage caused by the worst impacts of climate change. But there's no financial sum mentioned in the final text of the agreement. The summit also repeated a commitment to limit global warming to a 1.5 Celsius rise since pre-industrial time. But delegates could not agree on further commitments to cut emissions. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rolat.
This is what this climate conference will be remembered for.
Objections, it's so decided.
An agreement to create a fund to help vulnerable nations with the loss and damage climate change is causing. The deal on loss and damage is undoubtedly a breakthrough, but there is huge disappointment in this room. Disappointment that the rest of the text is not more ambitious. Leaders of delegations met to discuss how they could change the wording to increase the effort to cut emissions. The aim of these summits is to raise ambition every year, but today's deal goes no further than what was agreed last year in Glasgow.
What is low emission energy?
There's even a clause which could allow natural gas to be classified as green.
There was a very strong move by some of the petro-states to try and unwind some of those decisions and in fact go back to pre-Paris kind of arrangements. And so, I mean, as you can tell, because how late we are, it was sort of trench warfare on that.
Many countries wanted the targets to be much stronger.
Emissions peaking before 2025, as the science tells us, is necessary. Not in this text. Clear follow-through on the phase down of coal. Not in this text. A clear commitment to phase out all fossil fuels. Not in this text. And the energy text weakened in the final minutes.
But the deal on loss and damage is genuinely a breakthrough, says the woman who led negotiations for developing countries.
It's given me hope. It's restored faith in multilateralism. It's given us all hope in the COP system and literally in the power of working together.
The problem is the rest of the deal is so disappointing. It means what could have been a triumph for Egypt is likely to end up being judged a failure. Justin Rolat, BBC News, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.
The World Cup gets underway in Qatar this afternoon when the hosts kick off the tournament against Ecuador at 4 o'clock. The organisers are hoping the focus will be on the football rather than the controversies which have dominated the build-up. Our sports correspondent Nesta McGregor is in Al Khorfaas this lunchtime where the opening ceremony and match are being held. Over to you, Nesta.
Yes, good afternoon, Joanna, and welcome to the Al Bayt Stadium. A few years ago, this was just a desert. It's been specially built for this World Cup at a cost of more than £700 million. As you say, in a few hours, we'll have the opening ceremony and then the first match of the 2022 World Cup, host Qatar taking on Ecuador. And I'm sure that after all the controversy leading up to the tournament, fans will be happy to watch some football. Now, my colleague John Watson is here with what we can expect.
After years of continued controversy, today the first World Cup in the Middle East finally begins in Qatar, a largely desert state with little footballing history. All 8 World Cup venues sit in and around the capital Doha. The Al Bayt Stadium to the north will stage today's opening match between the hosts and Ecuador. 32 nations are competing for football's biggest prize, and it all leads here, the Lusail Stadium, the venue for the final in 29 days' time. Questions over Qatar's human rights record have plagued the hosts ever since it won the bid to stage the tournament. And on the eve of kick-off, further criticism followed after comments made by the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino.
They know what it means to be discriminated, to be bullied as a foreigner in a foreign country, as a child at school. I was bullied because I had red hair.
Wales and England are in the same group, and both play their first games tomorrow. Over the next 24 hours, thousands of fans will flood into Qatar. For England supporter Garford Beck, this will be his 7th World Cup, one that he hopes will bring success for manager Gareth Southgate and his side.
He comes across as a very genuine person, and I'd love for Gareth to win. I'm getting all emotional now because I think, you know, if we could do it, it'd just be the greatest thing for our country, and our country needs something to cling on to the way things are now.
Need a bit of joy in the world.
We do. Absolutely.
After 12 years, today the football finally starts. FIFA hope that the sport will now take centre stage, but the questions show no signs of going away. John Watson, BBC News.
My colleague John Watson there on what to expect now. A Winter World Cup was always going to be a unique experience in one city. So fans from all 32 countries are going to be descending on Doha, which means temporary accommodation has been built, everything from cruise ships to tented villages. Now, I went to visit one of these tented fan villages just north of Doha. Well over 1 million people are due in Qatar for the World Cup. This fan village just north of Doha will host some of them. It has 1,800 tents, cost £175 a night. It's just opened and those fans have started to arrive.
When we saw the pictures online of this, it seemed like a really fun idea, kind of having the vibe.
Like a festival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once we got here, our impressions were not precisely all positive. The tents are made of this really thick plastic, which obviously for the nice and warm weather we're having right now makes it extremely hot.
Right now it's unbearable to be inside.
Have you had a wonder to see the cubicles where you shower for breakfast?
Oh yeah, I just showered. And yeah, the water is like brown when you open it, so it's not really that exciting. Brush my teeth with my water bottle because that was cleaner than the water over there.
What do you think of the place?
For me, it's no good experience. For my reservation, it's hotel. It's not a village.
Ah.
Okay?
So $3,300 US.
Very, very, very expensive for me. Very. Because it's not good here.
And you're going to walk away having spent that much money?
Yes.
I feel excited.
And I
you
open
and I go in.
Okay, I can do that.
My heart's racing for some reason.
Welcome.
Ooh, okay. It's nice.
It's comfortable. You have a fan?
No air condition?
No.
No,
Sorry.
just the fan.
Padlocks for the door?
So this is security?
Yes.
Right, so anyone staying in the fan village can also use this fan park just across the road. There is a big screen behind me where you can watch the game. You can also take a dip in the sea or have a beer. And all around me you can see people frantically doing odd jobs trying to get this place ready. The World Cup is just hours away and the fans seem to be ready, but the venue doesn't appear to be. The staff at the village assured me that all of this would be ready in time for the big kickoff, and you can see the potential to deliver the month-long beach party that was promised. A first ever Winter World Cup was always going to be a unique experience, and for many reasons, Qatar 2022 is living up to that. See you in the morning. Well, there we go. Fans have started to arrive here. Excitement is building. It's time for the football. Back to you, Joanna.
Thank you very much, Nesta. Thank you. The Housing Secretary, Michael Gove, has written to every council and social housing provider in England to warn that deaths like that of Awab Ishaq must never be allowed to happen again. An inquest found the 2-year-old died from a respiratory condition caused by mould exposure in the Housing Association flat in Rochdale, where he lived. Donald Trump's Twitter account has been reactivated after its new owner, Elon Musk, let his followers decide in an online poll whether Donald Trump should be allowed back. The former president was banned from the site in January last year following the rioting on Capitol Hill. Donald Trump then set up his own platform, Truth Social, and claims to have no interest in returning to Twitter. That's all from us for now. The next news on BBC One is at 6:15. Bye-bye for now.